Hello, everyone. My name is Alexander Menkov. I'm a ruling reality coach. Today is 8th of April, 2023, and I'm continuing my series, Daily Reality with Alex. I know that now in a lot of Western countries are the Easter celebrations in Bulgaria and other Eastern European countries. The Orthodox Easter is next week. But anyhow, reality is here for all of us. And what the celebrations are here for all of us to remember are the cycles. But today, in my daily reality, I would like to speak about the reality of actions. What actions are revealing, what are actions, and why we cannot stop taking actions in our personal daily reality, why reality is constructed in such a way that we are to constantly make actions even if we want or don't want. This is a very important topic because once we understand and realize that it is not possible to live in reality with only procrastination, then we are going to be able to position ourselves in such a way that our actions actually are making meaning for all that are around us and also are making meaning for us. We are able to plan our actions. We are able to program our actions, of course, to some extent, because if we haven't recognized it, we are not here in this reality to be perfect beings. But what we are here for in this reality is to find out our authenticity and to understand how to be a border zone beings that are able to influence all the realms of reality simultaneously. Based on our experience here on these planets, our actions are constantly able to reveal or our essence, or we can go and reveal our slavery mentality, slavery and obedience, so to say, projections in reality. Because if we're just retranslating what already is put in our mind, and we're just projecting non-authentic actions in reality, we are in a slave mode. The only possibility for escaping the slave mode in this reality is if we are able to create authentic actions. And of course, they are done to some extent. But the most important thing for me when I'm monitoring and observing my own personal actions is always to compare them, not how perfect they are, not how impactful they are, not how beautiful they are, not how much influence they had, but to what extent they were close and authentic to who I have awareness to be in this specific moment. Authenticity of the actions is the most powerful thing that all of us have. It's not necessary the action to be big, to be the most perfect, to be the most planned, to be the most effective, to be the most successful. For me personally, the only thing that matters is not failure or success, but authenticity of my personal actions. To what extent the actions that are coming out of my experience are based on my personal inner being flourishing, and to what extent my actions are just retranslating whatever bubbles I have put my mind into. It is important because when we enter the end of our life cycles here on this planet, and when we start making evaluations of what we have done through our going through this earthly realm, then there is nobody to give accountancy to but ourselves, our creator, and maybe the closest that are going to be around us in this special moment. That's why the only thing that is going to create beautiful and wonderful experiences only if we were being able to make more and more authentic actions during these periods. That's why I enjoy people when they are making not the right decisions, because a lot of things looks right in the short term. But for me, what is more important is the people to make authentic decisions. It doesn't matter if it looks like it's a failure in the short term. It doesn't look like it is a non-logical, non-linear decision for me personally. And then let me tell you and share you a lot of things about non-authentic decisions. And more of us subconsciously know about this type of decisions when we are making. When we are forced to make decisions, we know that this is not 100% our energy, and that's why we're not putting them in these decisions, and we're just making them because somebody asks us to do it. This is how more of the human beings are performing their work obligations. I am an employer, and what I want from the workers that are working in our organization is they to be as authentic as possible, and they to like and to enjoy and to love the job that they are doing. Because otherwise, the inauthenticity of their actions are going to produce, yes, to some extent, results for our company, but also a lot of resentment. And long-term, the people, the human beings, we are recognizing when there is something false in the actions that we are performing. And when we are sincere in our actions, it doesn't matter if I'm sincerely delusional, sincerely honest, sincerely destructive. The important thing is, even if the action is destructive, is this person really authentically has decided to take this specific action alone? Because long term, for every action, every human being is going to be responsible, because reality is created in such a way that everything is 100% observable, everything is 100% going to go into accountability, because every action is creating an impact upon the objective reality of all the human beings. And even if this is so, it doesn't mean that we are to go into safe actions and into actions which are more common because all the human people are doing. Because even if we go with the flow, with everything that the human beings are doing, we still can be wrong, and we can still create long-term devastation for humanity, and we can still be not in alignment. When we go into the peer pressure or country pressure or the regional pressure actions, where we're doing everything that we are propagated to do, it still is a non-authentic expression of ourselves, and it's up to us to decide, are we going to subdue to higher propagandation of actions that are going to express reverence to some high power agenda? It doesn't matter if it's political, economical, social, or whatever. It is up to each one of us to be responsible and to know what we want our actions to produce. And I was willing to speak a little bit about the inauthentic actions and how to see the difference between the words and the actions. Because the most perfect expression, that of course is not possible in this reality for any being that is now expressed here is to have 100% alignment in everything, actions, words, thinking, heart, feeling, attitude, to be 100% formed into a perfect flow. But still, when we are communicating and when we are constantly decoding the actions of others, what we are doing is we are trying to decode to what extent this type of actions are sincere, authentic, or what are the hidden agendas behind actions. Because when you see the final expression of the human being, we call the actions, we are to start deeping dive and to see, okay, what was the intent? What was the agenda? What was the plan? What is the long-term outcome that this specific action is presenting before us? If we are doing it, even if we like it or not, consciously or subconsciously, but the more we understand actions, the more we are going to recognize immediately the intent, the agenda, the hidden meanings, the decodings, the influence, and we are going to know, well, this type of action long-term is going to fail, or this type of action is long-term going to succeed. Because success of actions is only possible if all the being with all its energy, with all its mental, energetical power are authentically expressing themselves with this action, or are they just propagating? Are they just in such type of a structural frame where they are expressing something more than themselves, and more usually this is the propagandation of some type of organizational structure we call a lot of time egregores, invisible creations from the human brains by uniting of a lot of brains and creating so-called mastermind groups, and then all the people below are going into some type of bubble divination where all of them are expressing similar action, doesn't matter where they are around the world. This is the way the people, for example, that are 100% attached to the economical forum or some other type of organization, it doesn't matter if it's hidden society or open societies, they have similar actions all the time. For example, in my case, I am a Christian, and mostly my actions are going to be responding and similar to normal Christian practices. If I was a Buddhist or if I was from another religion, a lot of my actions are going to be in coherence with my deeper beliefs, from where my actions are long-term coming into expression. Because when my mental expression, my energetical expression through the words and through my hands and through my being is creating action and movement, it is creating an impact in the physical matter reality. And then what is important, to what extent the physical matter reality is validating my action and is validating them towards or against some type of standards. And this is an important part of how we are making actions. Of course, does it mean that we are not to plan and we are just to go around and just whatever comes to our mind, we just immediately do it? Then we have two things, or maybe three centers that are creating the actions. The mind is one part of the centers that is responsible for all type of reasonable, linear, and logical type of actions based on our past experience, and is constantly suggesting us specific actions. Then we have the intuition that is indebted deep inside of us, that is able to be connected with the invisible. And this type of intuition is constantly suggesting to us non-linear, non-logical actions that sometimes, and a lot of times, long-term doesn't make any sense. But if we follow our intuition, long-term, a lot of beautiful and interesting things are going to be revealed before us. And even if we ignore in this type of moments the mindfulness, we are going to experience an interesting and beautiful reality expression long-term. Does it mean that the intuition is never wrong? And if the intuition is connected to the invisible, does it mean that the intuition is always right and we are constantly to trust it? Well, in 100% perfect reality, we can say yes. But since there are a lot of influences that are constantly bombarding us, because everything in the physical matter and non-physical matter reality is aware about the power, not of our words only, but of our actions, is constantly influencing us on all levels. Even our intuition, to some extent, is constantly bombarded and influenced through the way we are treating our subconscious. That's why we're to constantly aware of what we are feeding ourselves with consciously, because this is creating our long-term unconscious patterns, which are creating for us the decisions through which we are creating specific actions. That's why when you understand, and when we all know that the mind is important, our subconsciousness, from where a lot of time the intent is coming, is also important. But also, anyhow, because we are in the Eastern times of celebrations, we are to know and understand mythos and religion. And I know I have been in the communist era where we have been indoctrinated that religion is the opium for the masses. But is it so? Because in the moment, in the world, maybe 2/3 of the world is religious. And religion, to some extent, creates a lot of value for the human societies, and also because it's a conservative and dogmatic structures, it is not giving a lot of diversions from what is normal according to the society of today to appear. But is it good or is it wrong? We can debate it forever, and humans are going to debate it even in the next centuries. What is important to use all the resources that are possible in order to make decisions that are really most authentically expressing ourselves, and we are to constantly be aware about everything that is out there, anyhow, independent of our opinion. And that's why I'm strongly religious. I'm strongly exploring all the probabilities and possibilities there, and I'm strongly expressing myself to such an extent that I'm 100% sure that everything I'm doing is validated by how I view, by how I believe, and by how I structure my understanding about my religion. Of course, long-term, nobody can 100% give us the right solutions, but that's why this is the beauty of reality, that it is up to us to decide where are we going to position ourselves, and then we can try as much as we like in the different bubbles that are 100% presented before us. And long-term, when I'm observing my religious behaviors and when I'm constantly trying to understand everything that is possible with all its deviations, of course, I'm trying to 100% find the best lines and solutions for today that are helping me. When I'm exploring all the celebrations, for example, now we are Eastern, we speak about resurrection, and I'm creating for myself specific imaginations, and I'm constructing for myself, and I'm constantly finding and trying to seek the answers of the reasons why exactly this and why this is part of the mythos and why this is part of the archetypes that are constantly appearing of the human in the human brain and in the human structures and are constantly part of reality. I can speak you for hours on religious topics, but here the point is ruling our reality and understand the different sources that already exist and to know how to use them and how to manage them in order our actions not to be impactful, not to be influential, not to be right, not to be according to the society, but to be the most authentic type of actions that are going to extract the most energy out of ourselves that are long-term going to create the real fulfillment and the real pleasure that they are going to give to us. And for these reasons, I'm constantly monitoring my actions. I'm observing them. I'm analyzing them. I'm putting them to a lot of doubt. And I'm constantly trying to find the sources of the different actions that I am taking. And when I see people, I don't look only on one specific thing because I already know how complex is reality, how complex are we as human beings. And that's why never prejudge or never try to estimate something just because you have spotted one specific detail, because reality is full with details that can deviate us from the source of everything. And this is why I enjoy taking actions. I'm constantly spotting the processes of how much time I'm procrastinating and why, but I also enjoy to see what is going to happen if I take a specific action. Of course, a lot of us can tell me, okay, Alex, for you it's very easy because when a person is rich, he is possible to make much more decisions which are non-logical, and even if he loses sometimes, he can have the comfort of losing, the comfort of trying, the comfort of challenging, because he is, for example, a rich person, and he can start even have fun with a lot of experiments with himself because he has the affordability to do it. But if I'm a person that is 100% in survival mode, if I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow, what type of actions I can do? I'm in such a state that I cannot do any action, but only actions of desperation. Yes, this is also a possible action solutions that are not going to give any of us long-term effect. But even if we do all our desperation actions, and even if we recognize that there are powers above us that are willing to support us, even in the desperational mode, the beautiful thing is that we can give up, we can surrender, and we can open ourselves to the higher powers to give them the abilities to help us. And of course, long term, we can grow and come into a position where we are going to be able to work with the same power, but in a more manageable way, where we are no more in a desperate state. Because a lot of people are thinking that religion is only for desperate people. Religion is only for people that are 100% losers and that 100% cannot do anything by themselves. We, the strong people, we, the people with position, we can be spiritual, we can be going into solipsism, we can go into personal development because we can afford it. We are going to use our minds to our full potential because we are the elite. We are going to grab the hidden knowledge and we are going to use it. And all these desperate people, let them rely on their higher powers. Who is going to win in this type of situation? Let me tell you, the higher powers are always winning. The more and more we as human beings are going into deviation and absurdity of believing and trying to express through a lot of rituals that it is only us and nobody else in this reality, we are going to be long-term on the loser side of humanity. It's much more and better to be a desperate person crying for help than a very confident, mindset builded, knowledge knowing, secret society applicational person who doesn't understand that the higher powers are much more powerful than the most powerful being of today. And anyhow, because it is Easter, the personality and the story and the real person of Jesus Christ expressed this action for all of us. All the humanity thought that if he is claiming to be a king, he should conquer everything, he should conquer reality, he should subdue everything. If he wants to be a king, he was going and was in necessity to do different actions. But contrary to everything that reality was putting upon him to do actions, he did the only thing that the Father had put him on this planet to do, to actually surrender, give up, die, in order to show ritually to all the humanity that he is the only one who can say, I am the resurrection and life. And this storytelling is just saying us that once we are tapping into our authentic essence, it doesn't matter who we are today. There is something specific and unique in which each one of us, if we follow this essence, we are going to express ourselves in the most beautiful way, and we are going to give up for all the humanity our unique, special gift. As Jesus gave his own personal gift that nobody of us can give, we still can give what we have deep inside of us for the benefit of all. It doesn't matter how logical, illogical, non-linear it looks like for the others. That's why I encourage all of you today, take actions the most authentic way, express your essence, and put all your energy into it. Bye-bye. Enjoy your reality of actions.